Before we get into it, guys, again, thank you for tuning in. I would like to give a quick disclaimer. We are not a financial literacy advising program. So we will not be giving any specific investment tips. So please just learn the knowledge, gain from your host at your own accord. Tonight, our hosts are, of course, Mr. James Whitaker. We have Ashley Bette, Chris Wright, and a special guest, Ferris Bueller. Fellas, thank you so much for just giving us your time. We are all super excited to be hearing from you. And I would like to just give you all the floor to give a just brief description of yourselves and let the audience know about tonight's discussion and where you come from.
Ferris, you want to go first?
Sure. My name is Ferris. I'm located in New York City, Brooklyn, New York, to be specific. I'm the owner and founder of Everyone Pays, a creative consulting agency. I started back in 2017. And I also sometimes make some sweatshirts, t-shirts. I've invaded the retail space a little bit, thanks to the good folks at like James at Social Status, and Dover Street, and so on and so forth. Yeah, I think I'll just leave it there for now.
It's funny, Ferris, because I literally just came off of something with Complex, and I was literally just talking about you. Somebody asked what was some of my favorite brands that we were working with right now, and I definitely gave you guys a shot. I'm thankful that you're making the time for us, and you already know I love what you're doing. So please keep killing it, bro.
Likewise, appreciate it.
Ash, you want to jump in next?
How you doing, everybody? Thank you for joining us. Good to be here as always. I'm Ashley Bette, founder of Kennington Capital. We are participants in the equity markets. I'm a 20+ year veteran in the equity markets, stock market, options markets, and some real estate exposure. So I'm here to kind of learn from you guys, especially on today's topic, and also share my insights on anything market related.
Man, listen, let me tell y'all something. Anytime somebody call it investment exposure, you know they're an investor for real, for real. That's a different term right there. When they just talk about the real estate exposure, not endeavors or investment, the exposure. That's dope, bro. And Chantel?
Chantel Mack with the Whitaker Group. Super excited about tonight's conversation, especially for creative entrepreneurship. Just to get some good, I don't want to say gems, I'm tired of hearing gems, but to get some good information.
I see you got the curls popping on top of your glasses.
This is my Oprah swoop. This is on financial literacy.
I see you got the joint going on right now.
The blur background. I see you, Chantel.
I see y'all won't see random kids running by.
Yeah, and I'll go last. I'm James Whitaker, owner and founder of the Whitaker Group. Pleasure to have such a dope team and esteemed guests to dig in with. And with that, let's get to it.
Perfect. And again, just to remind you guys, tonight's theme is building and managing funds for a creative business. So I know a lot of you are super excited just to be learning from these panelists up here. So I say we can just dive right into it. And I think the best way to start it off is just, of course, with the passion. Let's get into it. What are the best ways to leverage your gift or your skills financially? Ooh. Either one of you fellas can go ahead and just.
I'm a lead. I'm CP3 today. You know I love playing a point. I didn't play the point in high school, but today I'm gonna play the point. Ferris and Ash, y'all gonna both put up 40 tonight, baby. We gonna win a chip. Who jumping in first?
These analogies.
Let's hear, fellas. Again, the question is, what are some of the best ways to just leverage your gifts and your skills, just as starting off with the passion?
Well, I'll take a stab at it from the markets, from the equity markets and lately the crypto market standpoint. It seems as though there are a lot of opportunities for creatives to really monetize by being as unique as possible. And the one vehicle that I'm sure a lot of you have heard about is NFTs, which stands for non-fungible tokens. What that is really allows someone who's a creative to make a one-off creation, I guess the best way to describe it, and put that out there in the market for whoever wants it to purchase it. And it doesn't matter whether you're fresh out or if you have a lot of experience and are well-known. That's given a platform, and I think that's going to change the landscape for creators in a big way going forward.
And listen, I know Ferris, I threw that bounce pass to him and he threw it back last time. Ash, that was a good answer on your side. But Ferris, I would say to help bring you into this conversation, like the good point guard I am, I got to think about just the two words, everyone pays, right? In a narrative of what that means and why. Because people can take it like, well, damn, why?
Well, it's definitely meant to be a triple, quadruple entendre, for sure. But for me, it was knowing my worth and knowing my value and knowing that these ideas are worth something. Of course, the machine is in place, but without the gasoline, is what I call like the ideas, it's not going to work. It's not going to move. So for me, just knowing that and making sure I get paid and where I'm able to continue on and keep creating and keep doing amazing things. My main goal is to create and do amazing things. And then naturally, I would like to get paid properly. I saw a lot of, and I've experienced it myself, where I wasn't getting my fair shake. And I just got tired of it. So it's a bit annoying to accountants either love me or they hate me when they see an invoice from everyone pays. They think it's a little bit obnoxious, but it works, and they either laugh or frown.
Well,
but
I got
regardless.
I got a question for both of y'all. Ash, tell me about in thoughts, right? Because both of it takes a bit of courage, Ferris, for you the first time to realize, like, yo, to say it like, either take the leap because you want more, right? Or to go from working for free, which we all have done, right? I'm sure you have as well, to wanting to get not work for free anymore. And Ash, on your side, same, right? Like you've been trading and helping people do a lot, right? How do you take the step from giving the information away to making sure, because Ash, I know for you, it's really about financially empowering people so they can make the right decisions with their money. So talk to me about what happens when you get somebody from 5,000 to 5 million, and it went from advice to now consultantship, right? Like let's talk about some of those and how you got to transition information and Ash, and even talk about getting people there, right? And getting people to have the courage to believe that they can get from 5,000 to 5 million.
Yeah, that's a good point, a broad ranging one, and I'll take it a step back. I think at previous episodes, I've kind of talked about how there's no better way to generate wealth than the equity markets. And there's never been a better time to generate that wealth than right now, with the power of the internet and just the amount of the wealth of knowledge that's out there and that's available to everyone. It's completely been democratized. But there's still a lot of challenges. And like you're saying, James, you still come across people who come from totally different fields, very successful there, but they just don't know about it. And a lot of it is just sharing as much information as you can about where they are and where their goals are to try to get them to that point. But to answer your question about if you get somebody, say, from 5,000 and over a couple of years, they're 5 million, how does that conversation change and how the expectations change? I think Ferris kind of hit the nail on the head when he first started talking and said, it's really about knowing your wealth. And the way I view it is once you've demonstrated that kind of success to somebody, you took them from 5,000 to a million plus or 5 million, that should really, in most cases, you would think that speaks for themselves, and they entrust you with the advice that you give them, possibly even managing those assets and being able to make those decisions on their behalf without them kind of micromanaging the process.
Well, I would love to think when you get somebody there that they would automatically do what they're supposed to do, but we know people don't always do what they're supposed to do.
Nah, that's yeah. People don't do what they're supposed to do when they get the money, man. I've experienced that someone asking me to work on spec. Back in 2017, I was consulting over at Elle magazine. I've floated through. So I originally got my start in music. I've done fashion, and I've also done beauty. And I was maybe I shouldn't have said magazine, but it's fine. So I was over at this fashion publication, and we were working on an event for Fashion Week with the editor at the time. And the group that I was working with, they were all on board. I was recommended by the creative director that I can handle a number of how do I say, a number of things for the project. And after having a couple of meetings, they flat out asked me to do this on spec. And I'm not sure if everyone knows, spec is basically for free.
Mhm.
And I pushed back and I was like, absolutely not. Because if I were someone else, they wouldn't ask me to do it for free. Everyone else that's working on this project is getting paid. I need to get paid as well. I
100%.
know what I'm doing. I've had the experience, you know, I'm not 21 years old. Like, this is not my first rodeo. And I pushed back, we fought, and I was able to get the dollar amount that I thought was fair, hire the right people for this event. And it's just sometimes you got to say no, as much as it hurts. Like, sometimes you just got to say no. But when you're starting out, it's really hard to say no. You want to like learn the ropes. You want to show your worth, but at the same time, yeah, you have to pay your dues. We all have, but at a certain point, you have to say no.
No,
Say, hey, I can't do it.
I definitely think there's a balance because everyone has to pay their dues to get paid. And it's a fine line between knowing when I always say to our team, it's a basketball model. Everybody starts on a rookie salary and then you earn in, right?
Mhm.
You show me somebody who comes out as a rookie and they come out as a perennial all-star, defensive player of the year and MVP as a rookie, we probably need to renegotiate after that rookie year, right?
Yeah.
But everybody, every player develops differently, right? And that their capacities start to dictate your trajectory. And if you're mindful of what all those things are and the sum of the parts, right? Then you'll know when, right? And if you align yourself with good people also help you understand when it's time for you to start speaking up for yourself. I said in our last conversation, good product and get production always stands up. Good people shine. You can't dim their light.
I love that, fellas. Yes. And it definitely sounds like it's about keeping the balance and just learning the ropes and, you know, paying your dues. And as creatives are continuing to just build their financial plans, how can they actually convert that into sustainable or sound financial decisions?
Ash.
I like to always go back to the idea of a roadmap and trying to map out where you want to be 2, 3, 5 years down the line, and constantly go back to that as your guide. And I think using that model, specifically where it relates to your finances, will help you out a lot. It'll help you not only in the decisions you make going forward, but also in how you look to actually expand your financial capabilities. Sometimes it means taking whatever excess capital you might have and making a smart investment decision with it. So that's taking it a little bit outside of your core competency of what you do as a creative. But if you have extra money, look to invest it just to give yourself that access to additional capital going forward.
And said, Chris just jumped on too. I know you mentioned him in the intro, so I got to get him. He checking into the game late. We got to get him involved in the game.
Oh yeah, for sure. What's up, Chris?
Hey, Chris.
What's up, everybody? Sorry, popping in late, folks. Duty called.
It's
So
okay. We tapping you right on in. Go ahead and give the crew. We over here discussing just building and managing creative ideas. You can go ahead and give a little bit of your background. Just let the people know. We're gonna get some good knowledge from you tonight.
yeah. So firstly, I'd just like to just kind of open up by just saying I'm here as Chris Wright, myself, affiliated with no company other than myself as a philanthropist, an investor in real estate, and an investor in the equity market. Now, I'd say it's important to kind of call out historically, what path my journey is kind of taking me on. I'm a 25-year footwear industry veteran. I've worked at tertiary brands, I've worked at secondary brands, and I currently work at the biggest footwear brand in the world. With that being said, again, I'm here as Chris Wright, not as Chris Wright, leader of Jordan or Nike.
And everybody, for context, Chris adds a lot of value, less about his current position and more about his just breadth of experience. Me and Chris met back in my Flavor Factory days. Chris is one of the people I talked about. If anybody joined us in Complex, we talked about people who had the unique ability of building models from the ground up. Chris built a footwear brand in the early 2000s, back before anybody was thinking about it. Young girl, and it was a luxury brand before people were thinking about the idea of luxury brands in our space, and that's when me and Chris met. And because of that, you start to see people like I think we talked about Jerry and and a few others last time. As you start thinking about investing and building creative ideas, he's someone who has a vast amount of experience in that way. But also, Ferris lives in our world from a creative side, because he still obviously works in his current day job. And then from Ash's perspective, he also works with us as a philanthropist and stock trader, and just the idea of building capital for us as a culture and helping get information out to help us all get money in capital markets. All right, now back to our topic, since we had to
Yes. Chris, you gonna hop in. Ash was just touching on building a financial plan. How do we convert that into sustainable, sound financial decisions? I don't know if Ash, you want to wrap that up, or if Chris, you want to go ahead and hop in on it.
Let Ash finish his thought, because I want to make sure I get full context of the question.
I was actually on the tail end of describing how I think it's important for, as early as you can in your process to have a roadmap, a financial roadmap, and constantly use that as your guide and revisit it. And just to give you a bit of context on how I apply that in what I do, is every morning I take a look at my portfolio and I question myself and the positions that I'm in to figure out how these are going to help me achieve my short-term and long-term goals. And I think as a creative, you can kind of do the same thing with your finances. Maybe not on a daily interval. Maybe it's every month, every quarter. But the same process, I think, is important and helpful.
It definitely.
Yeah, I'll double down on, I'd say probably the most poignant point that I heard from Ash on the tail end. You have to be strategic and you have to have a strategy. It's almost like getting in a car and trying to drive someplace without a GPS now. You're probably going to get lost. So really being thoughtful with what your long-term goals are and applying a strategy to it, I think is really important. I think it's also really important just to call out that everybody's situation isn't the same. It's not going to be an apples to apple. Everybody gets it a different way. James gets it one way, Ash gets it another way, I get it another way. So while we have a lot of things in common, the income streams just aren't always going to line up. So you always have to prioritize what doing right for you looks like and what doing right for you long-term looks like. And that's just all about just being super strategic.
Definitely.
Well, yeah, Ferris, you got any thoughts there? I see you on mute. Ferris, you on mute.
He was dropping all kind of knowledge.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
dropping gems like hell, bro.
I said
He was going.
when I approach things from a marketing, PR, and advertising perspective. I think a financial plan is secondary to knowing that you can actually sell a product. And also betting what you can lose. Like you don't want to overbet. You have to know if you have a future in that market space. You got to do the research, and you got to know when the market opens up. When you're growing your business and you want to hit critical mass, you have to cut margins. And you have to know when to outsource. The difference between outsourcing it can make you more money. I mean, obviously you're gonna end up spending some money, but you got to pay to play. And once you do that, you're able to move your business further. But building a strong, solid infrastructure that's exactly where your head should be at. But firstly, can I sell this product? Yeah.
Right.
And that's where you're going to figure out whether your business is sustainable, or the field you're in, the product that you have, all of it depends.
Yep. Jay?
No, well, I was about to skirt real fast because I seen a question come in the chat that grabbed my eye. So I'm gonna pivot real quick because P asked a good question. He said, how do you position, man, P, let P in. I'm asking her a question like she ain't got a voice. Go for it, P.
P, hop
Okay.
in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm here. What's up, everybody? What's up, Jay?
Got me reading for you like I'm a narrator of your voice.
I know. I was about to say he about to do the P voice.
Yeah, right.
Well, my question is like for a creative or anybody that's now as a young entrepreneur, how exactly do you position yourself in your market to raise your price point? Like you're already done it, you're good, you got your system down pat, you got your process down pat. Now you're ready to raise your price point. Do you raise your price point with these same people, or do you switch your target audience to increase your price point? And not just increase it by like a couple $100, like increase it by like 30 to 50%.
What specific industry you talking about, P? I think that'll help give context.
Well, specifically for me, I'm in the design industry, the graphic design industry. So
what I would say for you is, right, I think it's about the demand pool in your work, right? Because when there's demand pool on anything, right? Think about sneaker resale market. People can buy for 100 and sell for 200 because there's a lot of demand for the product that's being resold, right? The market never lies to you. So it's either one or two things. Either you gotta open yourself up to clients that got bigger wallets, and they may see your pricing model is probably a little lower, right? Or you got to make sure that you're delivering so much value that more people want to work with you, because the more people that want to work with you, obviously, the more you can charge.
Yeah, facts. And I think I'm on the latter half of that, where I have a lot of people wanting to work with me, but I don't have the time. So now it's time to raise prices, but I'm still in this market. Like, if I raise my prices, am I just going to cut all those people out, or am I switching?
Well, it just depends what people are using your designs for, right? Because a designs, if it's a web design, is meaningful because it's driving traffic to your site, right? If it's a logo design, is helping you build your brand. If it's designs that go on garment, it's helping you drive revenue, right? It just depends on who you're selling to, who you're working with, and some of that'll help dictate the value of your brand. Chris and Ferris, I'll let y'all jump in, and then from the entrepreneurial perspective, I'm sure Ash got a point of view as well.
Yeah, I've worked with several graphic designers. I overshot an estimate for a company. I was working with a very well-known graphic designer, and being that it was a bigger corporation that was asking for the work, I charged the rate that I was used to when I worked with another creative director. But I quickly found out that I can't charge that same rate, even though that was the initial team. She's the reason why we're able to charge a certain rate is because she had built up so much equity, and people know what they're gonna get, that they looked at me, even though I worked on a lot of these projects with her, and I realized that I had to start over. So yeah, I overshot and we ended up losing the bid. And it was a lesson to me. Still learning things every day, but it was like, oh, okay, you're starting over in this space. So you do have to build up, your name and your profile before you charge those rates. So you may want to take those jobs as long as they're coming in and build up your portfolio, because who knows, one of these guys, or depending on what product or what type of company they have, they might hit it big. And you don't want to say like they came to you and you turned them down when they didn't have money. We all start from somewhere. So like take the job if you can, and if you have the time, and then after a while, you're going to have to, say no. I can't work on this because you don't have the bandwidth. But for now, if it's not a thing, work on those projects and get your portfolio up and create great relationships and deliver on time. And plus, working on a lot of projects with a lot of different people helps you strengthen your brand and your business and what you do. And just your skill and how fast you're able to do things. And you'll be able to charge more.
Hey, James and Ferris hit on really good points. So I'll just use a current example that we're all watching manifest in the marketplace. But before I go into that example, what I'll simply just say is, time is money, and your money is time. So I think it's really important for you to understand what creating a real pull market for your work looks like. Because the more your time is in demand, you're naturally and organically going to be able to ask for a higher rate for your body of work. As an example, if we look at what's happened in the last year, specific to not just real estate, but contracting as well as new home builds, and you think about what the demand on contractors and builders has basically morphed into in the last 12 months, the demand is so freaking high that these guys can basically charge whatever they want because they're not at a loss for work. So now it just all simply comes down to who's going to pay me the most money. So then jokingly, I can just also say, you could leverage inflation right now, which is going on around the globe. But I would just simply say that, that's not necessarily an organic way to really create a pull market. Because at the end of the day, the body of work, the work you're supplying has to really be in demand, and that's going to really organically create the pull market for your work.
P, does that answer all the questions? Because Ash, I got another good question for you, but I want to make sure P got what she need for that mental stimulation, and she make that price go up.
Yeah, no, I got it. Create value, build equity, and time is money. So I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, and keep your day job.
And way to run that back for you. Good.
This was a good one. What are some key questions? My fault. I'm supposed to be the 2 guard. Said you the point guard.
No, I'm loving it. That was a great question, P. But Khalil did have a good question.
Yes, you about to get it too. Yeah, Khalil. When it gets to Khalil, you see it too. My fault. Let me give you the ball back.
Yeah,
let's
get Khalil unmuted. That was a pretty good question, and we can keep the rock rolling. Great
Yes.
question, guys.
Okay. What's up, everybody? I got 2 questions. Which one, the first or the second one?
Go hit them both, bro. Hit the first one first.
Give it to us.
Okay.
Ash, I think this first one gonna be for you.
right?
Okay, cool. So, yeah, I own a visual production company based here in Charlotte with my two younger brothers. And so we're at a point where we're bringing on a financial advising firm. And I feel like I should have asked them more questions before I gave them the business. So from your perspective, what are some key questions we should be asking financial advisors before handling your investment capital? Should it be like a rate on return or investment strategies, things of that nature?
Well, I think it should really start with your goals. I'm gonna just throw back a quick question to you. Why did you feel at this point it was necessary to bring in a financial advisor?
Well, we're growing our business, and this is probably like the most capital that we've had since the inception of our company. And so I realized that I need to bring smarter people on board to help me manage it before I go, and blow it all on, hiring
What,
or
excuse me, what type of business do you have?
a video production company.
Okay, all right. Sorry, I just trying to get some context.
Yep. So yeah, we specialize in documentaries, commercials, and promotional videos. So yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where the question kind of stems from, is that so I'm working with a financial advising team. So I'm just trying to understand, what are some key things that I need to be asking them when I'm meeting, especially as it relates to like where they're putting my money in the market.
Gotcha. The first thing I would start off is try to get an understanding of what their fees are and how their compensation is. You always want to make sure, and this is kind of taking it a step back, and one of the first things you ever want to find out is their compensation aligned with their performance, or do they sit there and charge you a flat fee regardless of whether or not they give you a good return or not? So that's a starting point. And then taking it from there, it's always a good idea to quiz them and see what, based upon what you think your goals are, what your goals are, how they think you can get there in a 5, 10, 15-year period. And try to understand what the risk is associated with that. If they recommend you put your money in a certain stock or a certain ETF, try to get an understanding of over the past 5 years, maybe how well has that stock done, how many years has it been down, how many years has it been up. I think that's a good starting point right there.
Thank you.
Ferris, you got something for him?
No, I think Ash hit it on the head.
And you said you had a second question. Yes,
sir. What are some key indicators to understand when you should leverage debt to help scale your business?
I'm gonna let Ash get it. I'll let Ash and Chris get into that. I was about to give you a super candidate. As soon my first answer, I'm not gonna hold it. I'm gonna say what I was thinking. If it's affordable debt, as soon as you need it, it's always better, especially when you're not giving up equity and it's just straight debt. As long as somebody's not charging you a usurious rate in double figures, but if it's something in a low singles, if you have a real use for the capital, as soon as you can get it.
Yeah, great question, Khalil. And again, Ash, Chris, Ferris, you guys can jump in. But I know one of the questions a lot of people had was, is there such thing as good debt? So really good question, Khalil.
Hell yeah, there's such thing as good debt. Let somebody on the phone want to let me hold 100 million at 0%. That's damn good debt. Let me get it.
I'll jump in real quick before I hand it over to Ferris and Chris and say, in the finance world, there's this saying that debt is your friend as long as you can service that debt. So to the extent that you know going in that you can service it, you can pay the monthly payments, then absolutely.
Yeah, so there is good debt, like Ash said, everyone said. You have to have a partner that you can trust and believes in your vision. Growth capital, you may need to take a loan from someone, and I agree. In order to get to, let's say, from 300K to $1 million, you might have to get an investor. And that would make sense if it's going to grow your business. So why not? Yeah. Like, it just makes sense if you're just trying to expand, if your product is selling, but you know.
Yeah,
You have to make sure your product is proven. And if you're doing about 300 or so, yeah, I'm not saying specifically, but yeah, why not take the chance?
yeah, I don't have anything else to add. These guys all did a great job of covering off on this question that you had, Khalil.
Man, I'll double down on the Khalil. All cheap debt is good debt, bro. Ash couldn't hit it. Service it. And if somebody's offering you cheap enough debt, you may need to start thinking about what it is you can, if you can meaningfully service the debt, and there's ways that you have some ideas of how you can execute. And if it's patient debt as well, if somebody's giving you a rate and term, then you can stretch, right? Because if somebody's telling you, I got an M for you, and I need paid back in 120 months on a balloon, interest only 3%, that give you enough runway to go to work, right? So the terms on the debt is probably more important than the debt itself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does. Yeah, we were looking at some SBA options, and it was like 3.75, 2-year repayment back. Yeah, so it was something that we would definitely consider, just trying to determine when I should pull the trigger, because I've never taken on debt at this point. So yeah, that was very helpful insight.
No, bro. Thank you for investing your time with us.
For sure.
Definitely. Thank you,
Thank
Khalil.
you.
And just to piggyback a little bit on Khalil's question, do you guys have any tips for crafting funds when presenting something from base level and you're wanting to get that financial loan? Any tips on just how to craft funds? And then we can dive into Tuck's next question.
When you say crafting funds, let me make sure I understand what you mean.
As in projection and analysis when presenting a business idea to get funded.
So how you present your numbers when you're going to get funded.
Yes. Any tips on how you could, in getting funded?
Yeah, make sure if you're in the red, make sure you can explain it out and explain it out in a very meaningful way, right? Because a lot of young companies end up in the red for one or two reasons. Either, they're investing back in, or it's a lot of reasons you can be in the red, but just make sure you can explain. You can explain your way in. You can explain why you're in the red. The other thing I would say is some accountants push for people to stay in the red because you can pay less taxes. You got to make a choice. If you want to get some debt financing, you got to pay taxes, right? So when you're a small business and you have enough where you can get what's the word? Tax savvy. Is that a good word to use, Ash? You can get tax savvy. That same tax savvy may be the reason why you don't get access to you may get access to debt, but not affordable debt, right? So I think you got to be mindful of all of those things as you start to approach how you want your books to look and presenting them to anyone who you potentially would ask for some funding.
Thank you for touching on that, Jay. We got another good question from Tuck. We can go ahead and unmute him.
What's good, everybody? Like kind of what all you guys said, I'm glad Khalil asked that question. I'm starting on my business as well and learning scare money don't make no money. So sometimes you got to put in order to get in the money. But for me, at the beginning stages of your brand, firm, or agency, did you ever make dumb financial choices with your money? And if so, explain, and how did you react from that situation?
Ferris, I'm gonna let you jump in there, good brother.
Damn, I wanted to add on the last question, but
oh no, hold on. Let's back up. Let's
hear it. We need the knowledge.
No. You can't say that. Not add on now. Shit. So
Let's hear it.
One second. Ferris, go for it. But we going 1 second.
As far as tips on crafting, crafting a funding request?
Yes. Any tips for
financing
anybody?
Projections or financial analysis? Yeah. You simply have to show that you have a business. If you can show you have customers waiting for your product, and you have some sort of commitment from the customers, plus you do the market research, primary research, asking a peer. Primary research is, i.e., like asking a peer, going online, doing your own secondary research, market share reports, analysis of the market, you'd be able to put together a report that shows A to Z, and this is why I deserve X amount of funds. But definitely it's a lot of research, but basically making sure you have a sustainable, actually a viable business. That's all I wanted to say.
No, I love the
People
way
have ideas, but they don't have a business.
Right, right. That's a really great way to just convert it to creatives, because so many times we're in our minds with it, but ultimately you're just saying show it's on paper, and that should be your backing. So that's really good advice.
And it's like, for instance, I'll add one more thing. Like when I was coming up, I was in a lot of offices and rooms where I was like, hey, look, I know what's going on. I know, like, I'm connected to this, I'm connected to that. And they're like, we don't understand what you're talking about. But nowadays, there are kids on Instagram, they're called influencers, and they could quantify, like, yes, I am popular. If I say do this, people are going to do that. So now it's gotten a bit easier over time. You know, it's still work, but you can show the metrics. Like, hey, I put up a post, this amount of people, a discount code, this led to X amount of sales. Before, you were just like, rappers were doing it. Hey, I wore your blah, blah in my video, and look at your sales, I'm responsible for it. And they're like, no, it's our product is good. That's what happened. So like, people are missing out on deals, and it's chaos. But now, like, everyone's able to cash in on a micro and a macro level. So it's interesting and it's cool. I like to see like young kids making money from sneakers to just having a strong following and putting up an ad for Coach or Burberry. It's like really cool to see them being able to cash in on their cool for once, because, you know, we've been doing this for a long time.
Definitely.
Being popular and all.
Yes. Thank you for touching on the affairs. No, we needed to hear it. I'm glad.
I went on a little rant.
Nah, it was perfect. Perfect way to tie out the question, definitely. And again, with this next question, I don't want Chris, I see you. I feel like this next question might really gear towards you, especially with the experience you have. Tuck, you can go ahead and repeat it, and we can just keep the conversation rolling.
Got you. Okay. I'll repeat again. If at the beginning stages of your brand, firm, or agency, did you ever make dumb financial choices with your money? If so, explain, and how did you react from that situation?
Yes is the easy answer, and you know, again, I think it's gonna vary as you go across the different kind of entrepreneurial ventures that we've all probably had a hand in starting at some point. So obviously, James being in a retail business is going to look different. But me actually having started a footwear brand many years ago, as I reflect on all that I know now, you know, there's definitely a lot of things that I could have done differently to better optimize the resources I had. I'll give you one quick example. You know, one of the things I've learned in, you know, being on the product side of the business for the last 18 years is hit a home run with the thing that matters the most to consumers, so that you have a pull market. So what that means is, you know, get really sharp and focused on the one thing that you really want to stand for. It's going to be your flagship. It's going to be your anchor. Don't try and do too much and go too broad, too fast. And what I mean by that is, you don't need an expansive product line or product offering to really establish yourself as a brand. You need just the one thing that truly has resonance in consumers' mind space and in their closets. And for me, what I probably, you know, reflecting on starting my own footwear brand could have done a better job of is just really getting focused and sharp on the one thing that I had a good buzz on. And, you know, listen, you live and you learn. But in footwear, you know, living and learning is, you know, spending an exponential amount of money on opening tools for midsole, outsole units. And, you know, you're talking about thousands of dollars per size. And if you kind of do the math on that, if you do 4 new midsole outsoles, it's pretty penny there versus just doing one and just landing your pull market item. So that's my example. Focus on the one thing that is really gonna meet the mark of in expectations and create a groundswell for your brand.
Thank you, Chris.
Any of the other fellas want to chime in on that? Ash, you got something? Ferris, Jay, y'all good?
No, I think Chris knocked it. Chris killed it. I don't think-
Definitely.
not to, especially since we only got 7 minutes left. I want to make sure we get as many questions in there as we possibly can.
Definitely. Good question, Tug. Thank you, Chris, on that. I know Four, I believe, had a question in the chat. You can go ahead and unmute for us.
Well, it's asking you to unmute.
Yeah.
While he's checking on that so we can keep rolling, you want to grab somebody else?
Yeah, we got Samuel up next. If you want to go ahead and unmute for us, Samuel, and get your question rolling. Great question.
Right. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Basically, it's like what I want to do is ask the question of when you have like a solid plan in place, but you can't wear every hat. Is it more important to go and find, I guess, the people who can do the numbers by resume, or stick with your gut instinct and the brothers that you may have come up with?
Say that one more time so I can make sure, because I got a reaction for you. But give it to me again so I can make sure I give you the reaction I want to give you.
Okay. So like if you have a really good plan in place and you have all the pieces lined up, but you can't wear every hat, like you can't be over here and be over there. Is it more important to have a team of brothers that you have a bond with, that, yeah, I can trust him to go do this? Or is it more important to go hire the person who is financially or educated properly in that lane? Like, when does that like turnover happen?
You got to always make your next move your best move, and sometimes you could get there with your team, but you got to be you could get there with the people who you call your day ones, right? As long as your day ones are doing the work to evolve, to actually get better and execute at a high level. If your quote unquote day ones, if that's what you're talking about, aren't evolving and aren't doing the work to get you there, you gotta make the change, right? I say all the time, I have a boss. My boss is the work and how I execute the work. If I ever stop executing the work at a high level, or if we as a company ever stop executing the work at a high level, nobody cares about who we are or what we want to do, right, what we mean to the community, right? The first responsibility is executing the work at a high level.
Yeah, I agree. In response to your question, I always look at LeBron and how he surrounded himself with his team and his friends, but they also had to step it up to be capable of performing at a high level. So yeah, it's nice to like know that, oh, this is a dear friend of mine. I can trust them to do X, Y, Z. But sometimes your friend is just your friend, and they can't at the highest level possible. Some friends are just better off being friends, and business should be business. It gets a little tricky. So unless your people are stepping it all the way up, i.e. like LeBron's team, then go with the, like, I think it was James, your next move, make your best move is your next move. Do that. Like, yeah, I wouldn't stress about
Mm,
It's nice to trust people, but it's also great to get the job done. That's what people want.
definitely. Great question, Samuel.
Can I
Thank
say
you
one
all.
more thing?
Yeah, go, of course.
No, I just want to salute James because I appreciate every time I see you out. You represent well. You're doing great with the platform. I appreciate it.
No, bro, I appreciate the opportunity. Like without y'all, I don't get that, right? So for me, I've said it, I've said it, and I'll say it continuously. We all got to win for me to win, right? And I truly believe that. So I appreciate you investing your time, and I appreciate the acknowledgement too.
Thank you, Samuel. I know we are a little bit on a time crunch, but we got a couple of good more questions. We can pass the mic to Cassie, and then Channing, you'll be up next. And everybody don't leave just yet, because before we go, we always, I don't know if this is y'all's first time tapping in, but no matter what, we're going to get the fam picks.
Oh, hold on. Let's get that pick right now. Let's get that pick right now. And then
Yeah, we've had a solid crowd.
I've already been snapping pics, so hopefully you weren't doing anything weird.
So everyone right now, if you could all just take off that camera. We will call you out if we have to, but take the camera off. We're going to do a group pick. And just get that love right now. Again, we really appreciate y'all for tapping into Smart Money. We do this every month. So if it's your first time, we definitely hope to see you again for November. Before we get this picture in, again, if you like tonight, you're gonna love tomorrow. We have free game going on. You don't want to miss it. So be sure to tap in, free game, our channels, The Social Status on Instagram, APB Store, Manier_USA, and let us prosper. Let us prosper. So yes, tap into our channels. We got free game tomorrow. Everybody, cameras on. I see a couple more. Come on.
I got the picture. I got the picture already.
All right. Everybody, let's get a good pose in, Chantel. You got us. Thank you guys for your time. All right, let's get it in.
All right, let's get those last two questions up. We got the pick.
I got the picture.
Oh, right. We good.
Let's
get these last two questions. Cassie, you unmute it?
Yes, ma'am. Hello, everybody. My question was basically about raising capital. I am starting a clothing brand, and I've just been using money from side hustles and my savings, even making all my samples by hand. And for my first drop, I was thinking of going the pre-sale method in order to, not have a bunch of back-end costs that I can't afford. But is there any other way that you guys know of? I know there's things like angel investing and different things and taking out loans, but I wanted to just know from you guys' perspective what you would think is good to do in this landscape.
Anybody want to take the lead on that? Ash?
From a finance perspective, I'd say one useful tool that's come up in recent years is crowdsourcing, and especially if there's a specific message or specific theme behind your brand that people can resonate with, to go out there and try to crowdsource some funding for a specific purpose is not a bad idea.
Thank you on that, Cassie. Thanks, Ash. Next, Channing, you want to unmute for us real quick? And then we will close it out with full because they did have a quick question and we didn't want to jump over them. But again, thank you all for tapping in. Go ahead and unmute for us, Channing.
Hey, Channing is gone. Let me get full.
Okay, all good. Let's get full in. It's a good session tonight. Thank you, fellas. Yeah.
Fool is not able to unmute. Let's
Go ahead
roll.
and unmute for us, Fool.
Hi. Hello.
There we go.
Hi. Sorry about that. Just I'm in the middle of I'm at work, so I'm trying to do this at the same time. A lot of good information. I appreciate everyone. I'll get right to it. My question is about creating a product that I believe solves a problem, and I want to know what's what's the right order to do things, like making sure that product is protected as far as like copyrights or patent or whatever, and going in that route, which I heard is quite costly. or just producing the product, putting it in the marketplace and just pushing forward. And then as things get more situated, then I can, you know, go through those things. Obviously, there's the risk of, you know, somebody doing the same idea or whatever, you know? So I wanted to know what kind of advice you would have for somebody who's trying to create a new product that's not in the marketplace.
I would like to, does the product work? Like make
Yeah.
sure it works for
Okay.
create
Well,
it,
I've basically just
get the patent
okay.
out for a patent immediately. You know,
All right.
you probably don't even have to produce it yourself or worry about producing it. You may find someone to help you produce it as long as you have the patent, like having a blueprint or having a deed to a home.
Okay.
You're gonna get squatters if you don't.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Analogy.
You're gonna get squatters if you don't. I said it's similar. Filing for a patent is similar to having the deed for a home, or otherwise you're gonna get squatters, and eventually they're gonna say that this is their product, and then you have a whole whirlwind of product problems. And I don't know how talented you are, but I hope you are, and you're able to create something else, because you'll be really sour about that one.
Okay, appreciate that.
And I think, Chris, did you have something to chime in on that? I saw you had unmuted for a little bit.
Yeah, I was simply just going to just exactly say what Ferris said. Hire you an incredible patent and trademark attorney.
Lawyers and accountants, best friends. Everyone in business, lawyers and accountants. Those are your friends.
You got to surround yourself with the right kind of professionals when you're building a business. And did those two fellas answer you? Did you think that answered the question correctly?
Definitely. Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
All right. So I always like to be respectful of everyone's time, because I appreciate the investment that everybody's putting in. Sid, the point guard, Ash, Ferris, Chris, Chantel, I appreciate y'all joining us and investing your time and leading our team. P, I appreciate you coming in the cut with leading off with the questions and being who you are. Everybody else for participating in and just coming in and once again investing your time. We do this monthly, so please tap in next month. Tell a friend. Make sure tell a friend to tell a friend. If you got anything that you think you need us to discuss, feel free to jump in any of our social chats or hit us up on any of our channels. We're open to all ideas about conversations around money and helping us move forward as a community. With that, I'll let everybody get back to the evening and thank you. I appreciate you all.